Welcome to a 5 at 5, where we're going to get stuck into 5 things that I noticed from the Chelsea versus Arsenal game. But first, do me a favour and join in with this one. If your team is top of the league, hit that like button. Number 1, and I want to talk about Gabriel. You might be asking yourself which one, and I'm talking about the Colossus at the back for Arsenal, our match winner against Chelsea. And I've spoken about Saliba a lot this season because I think he has been our standout centre-back. And I will also talk about one particular thing he did in the game later on in this video. But for now, I want the focus to be Gabriel, his goal-scoring record, and just how good that centre-back partnership is with Saliba. So here's a little interesting fact for you. Last season, no defender in the Premier League scored more goals than Gabriel. He was joint highest on 5 Premier League goals. And this season, so far, that stat is still true. No defender has scored more goals than Gabriel in the league. He's got 2, and no defender's got more. Hopefully on course to go and get the 5 that he got last season or even beat it. Now, the thing is with Gabriel, there have been a few times this season where he's come under a bit of criticism for an error or a lapse of concentration. But when you consider that all 9 of his goals for Arsenal have all come from corners, he just has a knack for that attacking instinct from a set piece where he can make a massive, massive difference for the team. And given that he's got that knack and he's proved it last year and is continuing to prove it this year, is it worth maybe the slight lapses he might have in defence given what he can do going forward? Especially when you've got someone like Saliba next to him and they're forming such a brilliant centre-back partnership together. For me, we've got the best defensive record in the Premier League this season so far. I know we've played a game less than Newcastle, but we've only conceded 11 goals, the same amount as Newcastle. And you really can't say much about our defenders when they're performing that well, and especially when Gabriel's also doing bits at the other end of the pitch as well. Really pleased for him because he has come under a little bit of stick this year, and I'm glad that he managed to get that winner and start getting a bit more praise. Now, number 2, let's go on to Gabriel's defensive partner, William Saliba, who again yesterday was brilliant. But there's one moment in the game I want to focus on. I would love to have the video highlights from the match to actually do some proper analysis, but hey, I can't do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some still shots from the game. And there's 3 phases of play that I want to focus on with William Saliba. Now, all of this, for context, is in the 87th minute of the game. We're 1-0 up. We're trying to see the game out. We're about to make a substitution, and Chelsea have just claimed a ball. Edouard Mendy has just claimed the ball from an Arsenal set piece, and Chelsea are trying to counter-attack. This is what happens. Look at phase 1 of this passage of play. The ball's been played out. Sterling has it on the right-hand side, and he's just about to play this ball back to Cesar Azpilicueta. Look where Saliba is whilst this is about to happen. Now, as that ball is laid back to Azpi, look where Saliba is now in phase 2 of this passage of play. Azpilicueta has got his head down and is playing the ball. He doesn't now realise Saliba from when Azpi originally looked up and Broha was in a onside position. Because of Saliba's movement, he's now in an offside position, and as soon as he plays that ball, that is going to be turned over to Arsenal's possession. But what I love about Saliba, his defensive discipline, his game management, his concentration and awareness. Now, as soon as that ball leaves Azpi's foot, Saliba is not content to just wait and hope that the offside flag gets given and that he's played it to perfection. He makes triple sure and he bullies Broha in the foot race to go and get the ball. And as you can see in phase 3, he gets to that ball first and retains possession against Broha. So number 1, he's played him offside. Number 2, he's bullied him for pace. Number 3, he's actually won the ball. Whether it gets given offside or not, he has now got possession of the ball and can make sure Arsenal retain that possession and do what they need to make sure they go and see the game out. That's just one little passage of play, but it just shows just how good Saliba is. And he just does that as if it's bread and butter every single minute of every single game. And this is obviously something that people wouldn't have even noticed in the game, but it's just this level of concentration that Saliba brings to the Arsenal defence that makes me just absolutely love the way he defends. And then on top of that, even after letting Broha be goal side of him, he has not stopped his stride at any point, so he knows he's got the momentum to run back and take the ball off of Broha just in case another Arsenal defender has somehow played him onside. Absolutely perfect defending, an absolute lesson for any young budding defenders out there. Number 3, nothing personal. Listen, that phrase has been doing the rounds non-stop since Arsenal beat Chelsea, and if you're not from the UK, you might not know why. Basically, BT Sport, who show some Premier League games in the UK, did a little promo video prior to the game. I don't know if this was shown around the world or if it was only on BT Sports, but what they did, they basically got Aubameyang, who was in their studios behind a green screen, to say a few phrases that they actually asked him to say. So they said to him, say, "I'm back, I'm ready, I'm blue." Another thing that they got him to say was, "Nothing personal." So this wasn't Aubameyang saying it of his own accord. This was BT Sport trying to hype up the game and doing an absolute hatchet job on Aubameyang. In fact, why don't you watch the advert for yourself? Check it out now.
Arsenal, nothing personal. I'm back. I'm blue. I'm ready. Let's go.
So as you can see, Aubameyang has done that. They've obviously made him the poster boy of the game. They know exactly what they're doing. But after Arsenal go and win the game, everybody is just ripping Aubameyang with that phrase, and no one less than Gabriel, as usual, after a big game, comes up with the tweet. Absolutely nails it, especially after scoring the winner. So Arsenal fans were laughing. Aubameyang has been taking pelters, but hopefully he sees the funny side of it, because ultimately, look, let's be fair to him. It wasn't actually him trying to stoke tensions or anything like that. This was a BT Sport stitch-up job. Number 4, Mikel Arteta's 150th game as Arsenal manager, and he's managed to bag 87 wins out of those 150 games. Now, how does that compare to Arsenal managers of old? Well, actually, you might be surprised to hear that is the best return of wins from the first 150 game out of any Arsenal manager in the history of our great football club. That's right. He's even beaten the great Arsene Wenger, who managed 82, which was actually level with what George Graham managed as well, both of them getting 82. With Arteta getting 87, he's comfortably beaten both of those. But that's not to say he's been our best manager from the first 150 games, because clearly it's not all just about wins, it's about trophies. And we all know what Arsene Wenger achieved in his first 150 games. But the way this season is going, we've done a third of the Premier League season now, it's going so well that this surely has got to be a season where Mikel Arteta delivers a trophy for Arsenal Football Club. And yes, he did the FA Cup, but that was a bit of a hybrid. We need him to deliver a trophy just by himself. But the tricky thing is with Mikel Arteta, it's all good just judging him on 150 games, but actually what he needs to prove himself on is the business end of a season. He's failed to deliver, finishing 8th and 5th in the real tough pressure cooker games of a Premier League season, but hopefully this is the year to do it. And given how it's going right now, who would bet against him? Number 5, did Ben White mean it? Now listen, you might be wondering what I'm talking about. Have a little look at this video. Ben White had a brilliant game yesterday, so I wouldn't put it past him. But I want you guys to tell me whether you think he meant to do that little donk on the back of Ødegaard's head. A funny moment in what was a brilliant day for Arsenal. Let me know if you think he meant that. Thank you very much for watching this 5 at 5, and to everyone that watched the match reaction. If you haven't seen the match reaction, it's a pinned comment down below, so check it out. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Only 2 more games to go to the World Cup. Fingers crossed, Arsenal stay top of the league. See you after Brighton.